Welcome to another episode of Out of the Pods. I'm Deep Tea.
And I'm Natalie, and happy Wednesday. It's another recap of our favorite season. I'm just kidding.
Probably our least favorite season. In fact, I feel like all the news channels are picking up, is this the most boring season yet? And I'm like,
I
damn, that
know.
sucks.
There's no way the editors, producers, as they were creating these episodes, didn't know this would be a very boring season. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of comments being like, okay, the reason why it's boring is because it's Minnesota. Like, none of these people are trying to be influencers. This is the true Midwest where everyone is more, chill and nice. Like, we have a very genuine, authentic cast. I think like a lot of this cast is very genuine and authentic. When I say that, I mean like they're not trying to do this show for only screen time. Like, they genuinely want to try out this experiment. But I don't think that's the reason why it's boring. People will be shocked to know, and I'm just going to say it, a lot of the women on this season, and you'd be shocked to know who, have reached out to previous cast members asking like, how do I become an influencer? How do I build a brand? People are always going to try to like monetize off this experience no matter what.
Yeah. And also, I feel like producers just took into account that people wanted more in the pods. And, every single season when they edit things, they always try different things. It's not
Totally.
like, oh my God, like it's Minnesota. So let's like have everyone be very like, wholesome and genuine. And they are. It's just, we're just seeing a lot more of it in the
Yeah.
pods, but it's been interesting. But I can't even imagine being the editors and producers on this season though. Like, imagine they just sat down and were like, let's do like a trial run and watch this season, and they looked at each other and they were like, oh, this episode is gonna eat. Like, it's gonna be so good. But
There's no way. Like, they
yeah.
knew that this season was kind of going to be a bust. It feels like a lot of the storylines this season are inauthentic. Like,
Hmm.
it feels like someone in the background are pushing things like the prenup, Lauren's alleged boyfriend, who's not a boyfriend. It feels like these are producer pushed storylines where they're not a big deal, but they're being made a big deal for the season.
Yeah. And welcome to reality TV, right? Can we just really quickly talk about how the first 6 episodes that aired last week felt like I was watching paint dry? It was so boring and slow. And then all of a sudden, we're in the next 3 episodes and it feels like everything is in fast forward motion. Like, I
know.
swear, I looked up at one point and I was like, wait, how are we already at home, like meeting parents? Like, I swear we were just in Honduras, I think it was.
Yeah.
It went by so fast.
I know they only spent like an episode and a half in Honduras, but yeah, it's a crazy set of episodes. Before we get into it, just a little life update. I am moving away from Chicago just for a few months, maybe several months. I'm kind of seeing where the wind takes me, but I'm going on a solo trip and I'm starting in London as my home base. And I'm going to use London to like fly to different countries. Like, I have Ireland on my list, Scotland, Netherlands. Maybe I'll even add like Switzerland there. So I've always wanted to solo travel, but I also felt like I didn't have the personality to just like live out of a suitcase. I'm very like routine oriented and kind of rigid. And I was like, you know what? Like, let me do this. Let me like be spontaneous because I never am. Like, if you know me,
Yeah.
I'm not spontaneous at all.
Yes.
So
You
yeah,
like control.
my dad helped me move out this weekend and I packed all my stuff into my grandfather's basement. And
Woo-woo.
yeah, I just have a carry-on and I fly out tomorrow.
That's so exciting. And honestly, I'm always the type to like I love traveling so much. It's my favorite thing in the world. But solo travel does freak me out too, because I can't even sometimes go to dinner by myself and be like, whatever. But I've traveled so much on my own just to do like brand things or whatever else. But yeah, I originally wanted to go to London with Natalie, but for some reason I feel like my soul is craving nature. And I'm like, I just want to like go do something in nature. So since Natalie's traveling too, I was like, might as well take this opportunity to go do something as well.
We're in our eat, pray, love era. We're like, let's go find ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pod Besties, we're going to be remote for the next foreseeable future, maybe like a month or two. And obviously, Natalie, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to hear about all of your travels.
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm going to keep you so updated. I have a friend whose husband has a friend in London. And she's all like, let me set you up on a blind date. I was like, not another blind date. I was like,
Yeah, I was
please don't you dare. I was like, I can't. But you know what? I actually might just do it for the experience and plot. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
who knows? Like, what if, you know, like it goes really well. But even if it doesn't, like I can say I went on a date in London.
And I just want to say the pod besties and me really need you to do it for the plot, please.
You know
And
what? I was like,
report back.
I want to know. I want to know what
Yeah.
like British men are like. All I have that gives me like an insight into it is Love Is Blind UK. And it was kind of like too much of a mix, you know. I was like, okay, so
Yeah.
like what's going
So
on
like,
here?
wait, who am I actually?
So
No,
yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
but I
It's
will
gonna be a lot of
definitely
fun.
take you guys along for the ride. Like, we'll be providing you updates. I'm excited. I'm scared. I'm excited. But can I tell you one thing that like really gives me confidence is my dad. I was telling him and I was like, oh, I'm really nervous. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Like, maybe I shouldn't make it 3 months long. And he goes, no, do it. And he goes, I will help you. And
Mhm.
I feel like when you hear that from your dad, you're just like, okay, here we go. It just gives you this sort of like confidence of like, I can do anything. So shout out
Mhm.
to girl dads, to just any
Yes.
dad who just like supports you in every way and will drop like everything for you, because that's the type of dad I have. And I feel like when people are able to experience that, especially women, it's like so
Mhm.
powerful in terms of building our confidence. I just want to put that out there because I was looking at my dad as he was helping me move over the weekend and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so lucky. Without him, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Behind every independent woman, it really is a strong, amazing father.
It's so interesting that you say that because I was talking to my little sister about this too, about our dad too. And
Yeah.
it's so crazy how they have set such an example for my future partner that I find it almost impossible. I'm like, how am I going to find a husband who literally gives up everything for their family, cooks and cleans, grocery shops, like drops everything at the drop of a hat?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost insane. And I'm like, and who takes care of my car? Like, it's the standard is very, very high. And I
100%.
blame our dads for that, which
I
thank
know.
you.
I know. So it's been a wild couple of days, a tiring couple of days.
Mhm.
And look, I'm not going to lie, this season made me even more tired. I was like,
Truly.
I need more happening during this season. Why did the storyline of Daniel following and unfollowing Taylor just kind of end? I was like,
Uh,
this could have been such an exciting storyline, but it was such a letdown.
I know. Honestly, okay, wait, we should start with Daniel and Taylor because we're left at a cliffhanger where Taylor thinks that Daniel has followed and unfollowed her. And I died when she was like, I have an app that shows me that. And I was like, does she now? And
I know.
I was dying when she was sitting there at the table, just like click, 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 like
Like,
just
couldn't
scrolling
find him.
through. I was
She's
like,
all like,
oh
is there
no,
Wi-Fi
Taylor.
in this lobby? And I was like, oh, I was like, she realized she messed up. I was like,
She
she can't
messed
find
up.
shit.
Okay, and I thought they were gonna have so much drama, like something was
Mhm.
gonna happen where, Daniel's like begging her, please just give me another chance. We got a load of zilch. But
Yeah, that was so weird. I mean, okay, I actually do believe your theory, the one that you said last week, where I feel like Taylor just brought it out because she wanted it out.
mhm.
And she thought that maybe Daniel would admit to it or it would cause like more drama. And I feel like when he was so understanding and she didn't have the evidence, like when the producer was like, do you want your phone? And she's like, sure.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't realize they would
Mhm.
actually give her her phone. I
Yeah.
feel like she was just like, okay, never mind. I got to stick through this. I got to
I
find another
know.
way.
But I'm so happy that she did because after meeting both sets of parents, like they are
Mhm.
absolute gems. And for some reason, this couple was the only couple that I cried every single time they were on my screens. I don't know what was going on, and I'm not even on my period. I would don't know why I was so emotional, but I think it was just like Daniel's family was so sweet, especially
Yeah.
him talking about his sister and how this experience is so unique because she's blind. I was in tears, and Taylor just fits so perfectly with their family and vice
And
versa.
is it because they look like siblings? Because everyone on the season looks alike.
I mean, they all look alike,
can we just say
so
it? Like,
uh,
it's a
so I
thing
think
everyone's talking about on social media. You can't tell anyone apart.
you really can't, and the names are so difficult. Taylor's the most unique name.
In my head, I keep thinking Taylor's with Dave
Oh,
because I'm
yes.
associating Dave's name with Daniel's.
Yes,
So I was
yes.
like, okay, I have to be really careful when we're talking about these episodes because Taylor is not with Dave.
Isn't that
She's with
so
Daniel.
funny? There's so much
Um,
happening.
but yes, I agree. Like Taylor's parents and Daniel's parents were perfection. And
Perfection.
I think this is the first time where like both sets of parents meet before the wedding. Like typically it
Mhm.
happens on the wedding day. And I thought that was really cool because, I always feel like when you marry someone and they're close to their family, you're not just marrying that person, you're also marrying their family, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like really cool that like the parents get to meet each other and get a feel of like, okay,
Mhm.
like who raised her, what
Yeah.
kind of family is she from? So,
Yeah, it was really cute when they were like fighting, technical, like play fighting over who gets who for Christmas. And I
yeah.
was like, this is so cute. But what really like shook me up, like in the best way possible, was when Daniel was asking Taylor's parents for their permission to marry their daughter. And it was so cute because I think I could just tell the genuine and authentic love from Taylor's parents because Taylor's
Yeah.
dad is also going through, I think, cancer. I just thought that that was moment was so wholesome. Like no notes on this couple. If they don't get married, I think we should just toss away this whole season. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Watching this season, we're so focused on the red flags we should avoid, but I think we should focus more on looking for the green flags in friends and partners and how to embody that green flag energy ourselves. I can tell what red flags look like, and green flags can sometimes be harder to pinpoint, but therapy can help. Whether you're dating, married, building a friendship, or just working on yourself, it's time to form relationships that you love back.
Therapy has helped me identify green flags in all of my relationships with romantic partners, friends, or family. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and is designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. By filling out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist.
Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/outofthepods to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/out of the pods. I do love seeing parents who act quote unquote normal on TV and will
Yeah,
like care for their kids and support their kids and stick up for them on TV, even if they don't truly mean it, because they know better not to like embarrass their kids. So I just love those types of families,
agreed.
which is the opposite of Monica's.
Okay, let's talk about this because apparently Monica's sister's boyfriend was first into Monica before he was into her sister. Like it's so confusing. Like why is there so much competition going on?
I know. Like, okay, when he made that comment, I was like, okay, it's just like something small, whatever. But then the way her sister acted, like kind of jealous of Monica when she was all like, I'm 5 years older than you and I should get married first, but looks like
Which
you will be. I was just like, what? Are you a
that was
stepsister? And I was like, because that is
yeah.
some evil stepsister behavior.
It was so weird. And there's a 5 year difference between me and my younger sister. And if she wanted to get married first, there was no way in hell I would ever be upset about it.
Yeah. Like, I don't
Like,
even think about it.
exactly. That's your sister. You want like their pure happiness and
Yeah.
love in life. Like, I don't even, it was wild to hear that. And I feel like Joey handled it really well when he was just like sitting there folding his laundry. It
Yeah.
was so funny. But he was just like, I'm not sure why she doesn't like me. The conversation was very mature and it wasn't like him being mean to Monica's sister. It was more like asking questions. Hey, like, what do you think about this? Like, have you had issues with her in the past because of this? And I thought it was a very healthy way to conversate about the situation.
Yeah. Like, you could tell the way Joey clocked that Monica's sister might be jealous of her and,
Mhm.
the relationship. I was like, okay, he's mentioned before, like he goes to therapy, and I was like, this man has actually taken what he's learned to therapy and has applied it to the real world. Like he
Absolutely.
knows how to spot some toxicity.
Yes. And it's super hard to spot it within your own family. So, and it's hard when someone else calls you out on it too. So, and the therapy is definitely helping him handle it the right way, which is great.
Yeah. But going back to like parents or family members who know how to act on camera, not to embarrass, their kids or family members, like Monica's sister is a prime example where they simply don't care enough about their family member and like are fine with embarrassing their loved ones on TV. Like those are
Yeah.
the types of family members I really dislike or like just will judge really harshly, knowing that our own family members have also been in their shoes, is like where they're filterless and they're like, I'm just going to ask and be myself and ask whatever I want. Even knowing that the show is seen by millions of people, like I'm okay if I embarrass my like sister.
No, it's just that would be such a no-go in my family. Like, I don't care how upset you are or how jealous, you better hide those feelings until those cameras go away. In what world is it okay for Monica's sister to comment on Joey and his like motives when she's literally met him for like an hour, 2 hours, maybe three tops? Like, it makes
Yeah.
no sense. Like, and at first, like, I was trying to understand because I'm like, okay, is she just like really good at reading energy? What is it about Joey that we missed, or like did they edit some things out? But it just does not seem like that. And Monica kind of validated that when she was talking to Joey. She was like, no, you
Yeah.
did nothing wrong.
It didn't feel like her questions to Monica about Joey were coming out of like love and like protection and like I care about
Mhm.
you type of thing. It's like it was more like from a judgy place. And like,
Yeah.
look, I judge my sister and my sister judges me, but it's
Yeah.
I don't know, like I just know my sister would never do that to me like
Yeah,
on
because
camera.
right, there's a
And
time and place.
yeah, yeah. Also, the way Monica's sister was asking the questions too, I was like, it feels like she's belittling her sister on
Mhm.
international TV. It was like
Yeah.
not a good feeling.
And it was interesting because I was like, okay, what does she really have her best interest at heart? Because she's like, oh, like you could date anyone. You could date like a 6 foot Italian model. And so I was like, what is she like trying to plant a seed to like kind of break
Yeah.
up this engagement? I don't know. It just felt very inauthentic, and it sucks coming from a sister.
Yeah, totally. Especially when like the public is seeing this. I know I made a comment earlier about like Monica's family being the opposite of Taylor and Daniel's family, but I actually really like Monica's family aside from her
Mhm.
sister. Yes, her family is very like quirky, but I think there's like so much love there. Like when they did the fam jam, I thought that was so cute. And look, I don't have a sock bin with my family. Like we don't share socks. I think that's a little bit weird, but I was like, it's kind of like cute for them. Like I like it. It's like
Yeah, it's
very quirky and
endearing.
cute.
I love seeing families that are very unique like that. So I think it's very sweet.
Is it an
But
introvert's worst nightmare? Yeah.
yes,
But if
yeah.
you
Is
love
there a
that
lot of
shit, it's fun. Like
is
imagine
there
their
a
holidays. I
I
remember
know.
watching that scene and being like, I bet their holidays are a blast. But
Yeah,
as an introvert, I could never. But
I
if,
know.
if I had more energy, I'd be like, hell yeah. Like I
I
love
feel
this
like
family.
sometimes I would probably be a little bit overstimulated, but other than that, I think this family is so sweet. The only thing
Yeah.
I think about is the compatibility between Joey and Monica, and not necessarily her family, but like I just think that Monica is very chill, whereas Joey is very OCD about everything. So I
Mm.
wonder how it's going to be when they like live together longer. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm kind of a little bit intrigued by the longevity of this relationship, especially at the end. The trailer was like Monica getting into the car after the wedding scene, being like, get me out of here. So I wonder if Joey ends up saying no.
I've always liked Monica, but I'm really starting to like Joey in these episodes. He's growing on me. You could tell he thinks very maturely. And I was like, I
Mhm.
really like that. Like therapy is working on him. Okay. He's learned
Yep.
a lot. And we
Yep.
we love a healed man.
Yes, we love somebody who takes therapy and actually applies it into real life, because that shit is hard to do. So go,
Yeah.
Joey, like the golden retrievers of this season.
A conversation that stuck out to me between Monica and Joey that kind of shows the pods sometimes don't work is the conversation that they had in Honduras in bed when they're like, oh my God, why didn't we talk about this in the pods about Monica sleeping with a white noise machine because Joey's like not used to it, and also
Mhm.
about her snoring.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's kind of like those small things that you don't talk about, but you experience by like being
Mhm.
together physically
Yep. Yep.
that could also be deal breakers, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, that's why I say after the pods and the reveal, that's when your true test starts, because
Yeah.
mannerisms and how people act, the tone of voice, like nonverbal cues, there's so much more to communication than just like verbal words that I think come into play. So it's really interesting to see how people like kind of adapt. Like, you see it with a lot of couples where they're like, oh my God, this person snores. Oh my gosh, this person sleeps with mouth tape or whatever. It's these are the quirky little tiny things that are going to be
Yeah.
a little weird. But
And
yeah,
I
the
don't think
sound
like
machine, I was like, oh. I love the sound machine.
I mean, I hate sleeping with sound machines. I can't have
Yeah.
any noise. Like I could deal with like sirens outside in the city, but I hate
Yeah.
white noise machines. I'm
It's
not
so
saying these
funny.
are like deal breakers, but I think it's like one of those things where it's like, it's like an annoyance,
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's like
Yeah.
annoyances build and it's like, I don't know, it gives you an idea of like how you kind of physically adjust to each other and if you
Yeah,
can.
absolutely. Okay, so I think it was like a few weeks ago, a few months ago, whatever it is. I was traveling with my family and we stayed in the same hotel room. And I remember
Oh
looking at
yeah.
my mom and being like, how in the hell do you get any sleep with dad snoring like that? And she's like, I'm just so used to it now. I'm like, are you? I was crying and I was like, this is my dad. Like, he's
Yeah.
snoring up a storm. I'm like, so I couldn't even imagine being newly engaged and finding out that your partner snores or they have like a weird quirky habit that doesn't mesh really well with you, you know? But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it
mean,
is
I
interesting
snore.
though. Do you?
I do. I had no idea until
Yep.
people just started to tell me
Yep.
like my best friend my best friend we shared a bed like on a trip and
Hmm.
she told me she's like you snore so damn loud. I got no sleep
I'm
and I was like
dead.
okay how do I snore is it like like a little just like a sigh and she goes no you're like and I was like oh my gosh I was like no
See?
one's ever told me that and she goes yeah no she goes I can't share a hotel room with you ever again.
Wait, that's so funny. I need to give you my mouth tape because mouth tape helps prevent that.
No, so I was wearing mouth tape,
Were
but it's
you?
something with my nose. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
I
yeah.
just like I just snore. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is. And so this happened before going on Love is Blind. And so when Shane and I first had to share a bed, I was like scared. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna snore so bad. But then he snores too. So it kind of was like, whatever.
Oh
Kind of like
yeah.
just,
It's like equals it out.
yeah, equals it out. If you snore and I snore, it's fine.
That's so funny. I know I was so thankful that I got my tonsils removed like years before Love is Blind. So I was like, okay, I probably won't snore, but I drool sometimes in my sleep and that was my scariest thing. Like imagine cuz like when we were in Mexico and obviously season 8 is in Honduras, but it is so awkward like sleeping for the first couple days together in the same
Yes.
bed. You're like, "Oh my god." And also like using the bathroom, like I would always use the bathroom and turn the shower on because I'm like, this is so awkward. Or anytime
Yeah.
Shake would go outside to the pool, I was like, lock him out, go to the bathroom real quick.
I did something so smart. So, when I moved out of my apartment last weekend, instead of buying more groceries or getting takeout meals every day before my move out date, I just got Factor. Factor meals are delivered to my door fresh and fully prepared, and you just need to heat and eat in 2 minutes. And they were a lifesaver during my move and planning for my solo trip because I was so busy, and the last thing I wanted to do was cook a meal, but I wanted a really good, wholesome, prepared meal.
Factor is perfect for me because I have a busy lifestyle, especially on the days when I don't have the brain power to cook at home. There are 40 different options per week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and keto meals. There's no prep and no mess, which is my favorite type of meal at home. Factor also offers add ons like smoothies, breakfast, grab and go snacks, and more. Lately, I have been loving their blueberry pancakes.
I love their blueberry pancakes. So eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factor podcast and use code Factor Podcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping.
That's code Factor Podcast at factormeals.com/factor podcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
I loved how they talked about pooping in this season. At least the women did during the couples meetup in Honduras, because that is something that we were concerned about when we were filming season 2. Like all the women when we were in Mexico were like, how do you poop when you're sharing a hotel room with your partner that you just physically met 2 days ago and then sharing a hotel room where like the bathroom only has this like glass swinging door?
Yes.
I was like,
yes.
the moment I walked into the suite, that's the first thing I saw was
Yeah.
like it was this like flimsy glass swinging door between the toilet and
Yep.
the bedroom, and I was like, "Fuck."
I know. And you're just, yeah, you just like, as soon as you walk into the hotel room, you assess where the hell, how the hell you're going to do everything because it is the most intimate space with a stranger ever.
Yeah,
It really is like, I can't believe we did this experience and got through it because how?
I
How?
know, and
Like now I can't even share a hotel room with my best friends even sometimes. I'm like, now I'll get my own space, you know?
no, like I'll have to announce and be like, I am doing number two
Yeah.
and turn the TV way up. I'll be like turning on the shower. Like I'll make it known. But how did
Yeah.
you let Shake know you were, gonna be
Oh, I
spending
never
a few more?
did.
Oh, you didn't? You didn't
I
like
be
announce it?
never, never, ever, ever. Even when I was dating Kyle and we lived together for a piece of that, I would never talk about it. I'm like, it doesn't exist,
What
which is
about with your ex who
stupid.
you lived with? Like,
Oh, I wouldn't care. If anything, I would like spend hours and just kidding, not hours, but I would like go away to the bathroom because I needed space. I would be like, oh my gosh, like I've been dating you for almost 7 years and you're always here.
for me, when I was sharing a hotel room with Shane in Mexico during filming, I got Montezuma's Revenge, which is traveler's diarrhea.
Oh
So
my
I was going like
gosh.
multiple times a day. And I straight up would just announce, like, first of all, that I had traveler's diarrhea. And
Get ahead of
secondly,
it.
yeah. And secondly, that I was going to go and he has to turn the TV up so loud and I'll be turning on the shower and the sink.
I'm
And I'd be in
so,
there for like 10 or 20 minutes. And
that
and
is so funny.
the first time you do it and you walk out and make eye contact with them, you're just like, he like
I
you're
know.
just like,
No, it's just like, oh, hi, this is awkward. And I'm sure Shake knew exactly what was
yeah.
happening because I would turn on the shower and like go to the bathroom, shower, and then come out and be like, oh, I'm so clean.
And you could hear
I
it. Like
just showered.
if you really listen, you could tell when someone's actually in the shower versus just turning it on
Absolutely.
to cover noise.
Absolutely. You know what's really funny is I know when that happens too, when like exes have done that with me. So I'll always like put a hand in there, like do random shit all the time. Or like move the shower head to like hit the wall instead of like going straight to the floor.
That's so and then after you're done, if they don't have like an air freshener, you have to use like a shampoo bottle and kind of like squeeze it around as a
Okay,
makeshift air freshener.
I haven't done that, but that's smart. It's interesting because, I feel like I was like a little bit insecure about that, even just when we were on Love is Blind. But now I'm like, as soon as I get into a new relationship, I won't even care anymore.
Yeah,
Like I've
same.
so changed now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
But
obviously I've had to use the bathroom when I've dated other people after
Mhm.
Shane, but I always see it from the view of like if I hear them poop, like I don't care. Like to
Yes.
me that's just natural. So I think like if they know I'm using the bathroom because I have to poop, like who cares, you know?
Yeah,
Like if I don't
exactly.
care if they do it, they probably don't care if I do, though New York boy cared.
Ugh. New York boy is I
That should
hate
have been a
him.
red flag,
That should have been a red flag right there.
but
Especially for you,
I know.
because
I know.
you don't care.
I was like, "Didn't I tell you I had IBS?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Actually, you never told me that." I was like, "Well,
Well,
this
here
is
we
our
go.
downfall. This is
I'm
it.
s-
This is when it's done."
yeah. I like that Daniel and Taylor used the word papaya. I was like, this is
I
so
hate that.
random. I know.
Imagine being like, I have to papaya.
I know. And you never can eat a papaya ever again in your entire life.
Ew, yeah. Like, how did they say it? Do they just go papaya and they just run to the bathroom?
Who
Or they're like,
knows?
time to papaya? Like, what? I feel
Hey,
like that
I'm gonna
makes
go
it worse.
papaya. I
That
know.
makes it way worse. I was like, that actually gives me the ick. But
I know.
again, I was actually shocked at how boring the episode and a half in Honduras was. For some
Yeah,
reason, I thought there would be more like, I don't know, something interesting happening. But I
I
feel like all
know.
the conversations were like, I love you. I'm going to marry you. I'm having so much fun. I love that we're physically together. I was like, okay, any
Yep.
more? Like,
Ye-
I'm not getting anything from any of this.
I know. It was very, I wouldn't say boring. It was just mundane. I think everyone's just so wholesome. What is the most exciting thing that happened in Honduras? Dave being rude about Lauren's hair. I think that was the worst thing that happened. I was like, Dave, please. Like,
Dave
it's like,
asking everyone if they had sex was the most
oh,
interesting thing. Okay.
oh, actually, what was that? Between him saying, "Hey, have you guys had sex?" to Lauren just pees a lot. She moves and pees a lot during the night. I
Yeah.
was so confused by what type of information he was trying to gather. Like,
I know. I was like, what? Why are you asking everyone if they've had sex? Though I will say, I feel like that sex question, producers will ask cast members, hey, bring it up and like ask people that. That's what they did to me when we were filming in Mexico. Behind the cameras, they would lift up their iPhones where you could do text. And they're
mhm,
like, Natalie, ask about sex now. Like I'd be
yeah.
yelled at to ask about it. And then I remember saying, like, have you guys done it?
Mhm,
Like I was being
yeah.
all awkward because I didn't want to ask straight up. It's creepy. But I feel like Dave became that person where He's got to ask everyone individually.
Well, the funny thing is, like, I remember that too, what producers asked me to, or like would ask somebody who I was talking to. I think I remember Nick being the one to ask me.
He has
It just,
everyone. Ugh.
which is fine. Like, go ahead and ask, I guess, if it's prompted. But why did Dave do it so perfectly where editing was so easy for them to be like, yep, stitch them all together?
I really think producer has asked him to ask
Yeah.
other cast members, and they made a comp. Wait, I'm going to say this word wrong because everyone called me out in the last episode because I kept saying compilation, but it's compilation.
Com-
Compilation. No, it's not.
compilation.
Compilation. And now they made a compilation of him asking everyone to if they had sex.
Yeah. Dave is just like the perfect participant for producers. He will
I
say and
know.
ask anything. I loved when Taylor clocked him when he was being a little too negative about Lauren,
Yeah.
because I'm like still trying to understand Dave. Like at some moments, I feel like Dave likes Lauren and he's like very much there for her. And he's like, okay, he's invested in this engagement. And then and the other half of the time, I'm like, okay, this man wants nothing to do with Lauren.
I feel like Dave is just not into Lauren and is just trying to build a storyline to get out of that relationship. Like he brings up his sister a lot as if his sister's going to be a big roadblock. And I was like, watch we meet his sister. And she is so nice and so kind to Lauren.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think from the very beginning, even in the pods, I think he wanted to use somebody else as an excuse to not own up to his own actions. And
Totally.
that is definitely what Dave is doing. I bet you anything that Dave's sister does not give a shit about any of it.
Yeah.
I bet you anything she's like this, supportive person, whatever. We don't know. And it's so funny how the internet's like, does Dave even have a sister?
I know. Be like,
And I think it's so funny. But like the way it comes off is like, yeah, you can tell he's trying to outsmart the public by being like, oh my God, my sister, she's going to care so much. And it's like, no, Dave, we see right through it. That's you. We're not
yeah.
dumb. We
Like,
can
I
clock
feel
it.
like he's trying to build a storyline or options of how to get out of that relationship with
Yeah.
Lauren. So he's going to use his sister not approving as maybe a potential
Mhm.
storyline. I know people might be like, that's kind of like crazy to do, but a lot of contestants do it. Like,
Yeah.
they kind of want to build their storyline because they have very little knowledge of how production and editing works. And so they're
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm going to bring up these things. So, like, there's storyline potentials here. And this is kind of what I want my storyline to look like.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, it does happen, and I feel like that's what he's doing. Even with her, like, friends with benefits or ex, whatever that other guy is, you could tell he is harping on it so much because he wants to build a storyline where she did something sketchy.
Exactly. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions.
The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash and non retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth.
The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold.
Investing involves risk, rate subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on the data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
He really just wants out of that relationship and he doesn't know how to be the bad person and actually own up and be like, hey, Lauren, like, I don't think that this relationship is going to work out.
Yeah.
Instead, he's trying to poke holes in her integrity. He's trying to bring up her past as if it even matters. Like, it does not make sense. Plus, every single thing that he said is so contradicting. Like, his facts don't line up. It's like, oh, he thinks that you guys spent 48 hours before you went on Love is Blind together. And then at one moment, he's like, it was like a week before. Like, the timeline is crazy. And then he's doing the same thing where he projects on the responsibility of how he feels onto his friends or his sister.
Yes.
I bet you anything his friends don't give a shit who Lauren was with before she came on the show.
And if they do give a shit, I feel like it's because Dave is riling them up. Like if his sister happens to have a lot of reservations about Lauren, I feel like it's because
Mhm.
she's hearing things from Dave as well of
Yep.
him maybe talking negatively about Lauren. I feel like he's definitely trying to build the storyline about Lauren to make her the villain in the relationship so he has a way out because he's not finding ways to get the story straight, right? Like she says
Mhm.
something, clearing up, sharing her side of the situation. And he goes, no, that's not what I'm hearing from my friends who are mutual friends with this other guy. And I was like, okay, Dave, you're just really trying not to believe Lauren and like just being like, this is the story. I only believe the other guy and what he's saying to our mutual friends. It's like
Yeah.
he's not even trying to understand her
Yeah.
or even listen to her. And I was like, okay, he wants out. He
He
definitely wants out.
100%. And I have to say, it's also very deceptive of him to be like, "Oh yeah, my friends are gonna come. They like are setting up food and drinks." I know for a fact that man never wanted Lauren to meet his friends. Like
Yeah.
that's, I don't know. There's just like underlying, like I don't know, there's like still a lot of like lying happening and manipulation, and Dave thinks that he's outsmarting the public by doing all of this, but the producers clocked it, dude. Like, are you kidding me? That's why they're giving him such a bad edit. This man is not doing
Yeah.
well on this on our
Yeah.
screens right now. It's so bad.
But I feel like if he truly loved her and wanted to make it work, he would like believe her more and not just be
Yes,
like, well, no, that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing this from my friends. I feel like he would
exactly.
try to find a way to like piece together who's telling the truth. Like, can I see the receipts? Let me see the text messages. But instead, he's like,
Yeah.
no, 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 no.
And his body language too is just so not inviting and like compassionate when she's crying and things. And even the way he talked to her friends was like a little off to me. Like her friends were like so in her corner, like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I know this person's trying to do this." They came with the facts, and he's like, "Well, I don't know. Like, it's just really hard to believe." Like, it's just, yeah, it's weird. Oh, Dave.
Even in the last scene of them on episode 8 where they're having that heated conversation and he's like, I'm not staying the night, she says to him like, I want to marry you, and he goes, I want to marry you too, but he's like, I'm not staying the night. And it's like, you know, the actions aren't matching. Like
Yep.
he's not staying at their shared apartment, but he still says he wants to marry her, but he's not giving her any grace. Again, it's like he's trying to build up this storyline so he has an excuse to either not make it to the altar or get to the altar and say no
Yeah,
and just be
absolutely.
like, I don't believe her. Like, I think it's so sketch, just the fact she had a friends with benefits prior to coming on the show.
Yeah, I agree. I think at any point, if you actually had love for somebody and you wanted a relationship to work, you're willing to overlook so many things. And you can just tell Dave is like trying to find any excuse to be like, nope, it's just not going to work. Let me just throw away this
Yeah,
relationship. It'll be interesting to see if they make it to wedding day. I
I
don't think
know.
that they will.
I don't know. We'll see. Because I know that the trailer for this Friday's episodes shows Lauren saying, like, I tried texting him and
Didn't
his
go
text
through.
messages were green, which typically means either his phone is off or like he blocked her. And she goes, we're supposed to be getting married today. But I can't ever tell with these trailers like what's about to happen. There is another potential scenario in my head where producers are asking Dave to bring up this topic over and over again in each scene. Like it's not him constantly bringing it up. It's producers asking him like, "Hey, you got to talk about this and be more clear on the story." Or you could also have a producer who's in Dave's ear being like, "We think she's lying." That's where I'm like, maybe that's why this is becoming such a big deal. And it looks like Dave is just continuously bringing it up and not believing Lauren. It's because it's also kind of producer push too. That is
Yeah.
always a scenario. I mean, I feel like some cast members on our season that happened to, right? Where they're being given validation from the producers that they are
Mhm.
doing the right thing when instead, like on camera, it looks really bad.
Yeah. No, there's absolutely been scenarios where we've even talked to our fellow castmates and been like, no, that's not the case. And like you kind of clear up the drama, but it's very much, being escalated behind the scenes when you can't
Yeah.
and you just don't know. Yeah. And I like that you're playing devil's advocate with Dave on this, but still, I feel like the way he was approaching the situation was a little off. Even if the producers are like, oh my God, she might be lying or she might be doing this. I think the way he was just wording things and what he had a
Totally.
problem with was very problematic to me because it shouldn't matter,
Yeah.
So that was interesting. But yeah, you're totally right. There's definitely a lot of people behind the scenes having a say on what happens,
Yeah.
during certain scenes.
Like,
So,
for example, this is a potential scenario in the scene where Dave is meeting up with Lauren's friends. A producer could have told Dave, hey, you need to bring up the situation to Lauren's friends. Like, you need to talk about it. And so, he doesn't second guess it. He's like, okay, I need to talk about it for TV. And my producer told me to.
yeah.
Versus like us, when we got that question during filming, if it didn't feel appropriate, we'd be like, no, we're not talking about it. But
Right.
we learn the power of no, and some cast members don't know the power of no. So that's like a potential scenario. Not trying to defend him, but sometimes when I look at this and he brings it up so much, it's like, is it really him always bringing it up? Or is it like a producer being like, you need to talk about it again?
Yeah. Regardless of which it is, I don't know. It's not looking good for Dave.
No, I
It's
know.
really not. Oh boy. My mindset of this year is taking back control, and that includes dating. I want to be able to set boundaries, highlight what matters to me, and really show off my personality. And with Bumble, I can do just that and attract the kind of person who aligns with my energy.
I agree. It's all about owning the process and not just waiting to be chosen. I love that I can be my true self. I have a dry, sarcastic sense of humor. And if they don't get it, it's a deal breaker for me. But at the same time, I want someone who's also driven, ambitious, and knows what they want. It's not just about chemistry, it's about values and goals too. And Bumble gives me the flexibility to be picky so I never have to settle.
Exactly. Bumble makes it easy with features like interests and intentions. I can connect with people who share the same values and help me stay true to who I am. When you do that, the right connections will just come naturally.
So date on your terms, date your way on Bumble. I feel like there's another couple too on this season where I feel like they're not into their partner, and that's Virginia not being into Devin. I feel like she's showing it in a more subtle way that she's not into him, but that's like the feeling I get from her.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know if I can get a good read on this couple because I feel like Virginia is so smart. And you're right. She's subtle in the way that she talks about things. Like, remember when they were talking about the prenup? And she kind of used like reverse psychology on Devin
Yes.
and was like, I wouldn't want to take away from your basketball empire. And I thought that was so
So
beautifully
smart.
done. And I think it's really smart of her to protect her assets because you just never know where life can take you. And I don't know. Devin's very interesting to me. First of all, it kills me as an Asian girly that he had so many shoes next to his bed. I was
I
like,
know.
"Oh my God, Devin, no." Um, and the fact that each shoe was like 700, 600, $700. I was like, "Oh, those are expensive. That's
Yeah.
an expensive habit." So I'm glad that Virginia's like, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna make sure that I'm protected if we do get married." I
Oh,
thought that was
yeah.
the right choice.
I used to not be like this because I didn't have a good understanding of prenups. But now I'm like,
Mhm.
I think you should always sign a prenup. It benefits both partners in a marriage
Mhm.
financially.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll always have a prenup. But also, again, you just never know what happens. Like, life is crazy sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
I'm in the same boat as you where I thought it was like kind of bad juju to get a prenup before you get married because I'm like, why? What are you trying to say that we're going to end up getting divorced or it's not going to work? It's like, why put that out there in the universe? But you're totally right. It makes so much sense to protect yourself. And regardless, something is going to be done for you. Why not have it in your control
yeah,
just in case?
I saw a video that really changed my mind about prenups. It said something around the lines that, like, if you don't mock up your own prenup, you pretty much use the government's template for a prenup, like when you get married without one, right? Like there's
Hmm.
still a prenup. There's still something that, that kind of shows like how your assets are going to be divided. And so they're like, make your own, like mock up
Yeah,
your own prenup instead of using the
absolutely.
government's template.
Yes, and you're totally right about Devin and Virginia. Like, I don't know if I see them working out.
His financial situation is sus. Okay. Like, I'm just going to
Yeah.
say it. Okay. You have medical bills. Fine. You have a little bit of student debt. okay, that's fine too. But also to have an expensive sneaker collection. And then he says something like, oh, one of us will cover the mortgage and the other will cover utilities. And
Oh
I was
my
like,
God. Yeah, I don't think that's like 50-50. And I'm so happy Virginia was like, no, we're going to have separate bank accounts. Like, it's not going to
yeah,
be like a joint thing. And I'm so glad that they're talking about that because getting married to basically a stranger, you have to be able to talk about finances and it's uncomfortable. And it
yeah.
sucks because you're obviously like comparing the two, like, and it brings a lot of ego issues out. But like, I'm so happy they're talking about it.
Yeah. And then the other thing that kind of got me confused too is he talks about how he has things saved up, like he has a big savings. But I was like, yeah, but you also have like medical bills. That sounds like they're from high school injuries. So
Mhm.
long ago, and also student loan debt. So it doesn't really make sense. I'm not here to judge someone's financial situation, but it's one of those things where I was like, is he being truthful? And if I was filming the show now and I was in the same position as Virginia, I would be like, I want to see the receipts. I want to know how much you're in debt. I want to
Mhm.
know how much you owe in medical bills. I want to know that savings numbers. I feel like when we were filming season 2 and Shane and I talked about finances, I just took his word and then I found
Yeah.
out he lied about everything. You just can't trust people just saying like this is my financial situation. You need to see the numbers.
Exactly, because it's so easy to make up whatever version you want the other person to hear, and then you get married and then it's too late. So, it's like, why not have everything up front and actually look at the numbers and see where you stand? Because
Yeah.
when you get married to somebody, you're marrying their financial status as well. You're gonna also take on their debts, and it's just a lot if you think about it.
Yeah.
To know somebody for 3, 4 weeks and then get married to them and take on not the burden, but the weight of having somebody else's debt now be yours, that's a lot.
The only reason I feel like she's not really into him is because I think through their conversations, you could just tell they're on different maturity levels, even though she comes off very like loving and understanding. But she is so mature and financially responsible. I was like, there's no way there's not alarm bells ringing in the back of her head. She just can't say it. Remember when she was talking about prenups with his family and they were just like kind of confused by it? Like, huh?
Yes.
But then also, is it his brother who asked, my parents are getting close to retirement age. Would you be okay with them moving in with you? I was like, whoa, that's like a lot to
Mhm.
just like throw out there as an option without really
Yeah.
discussing it with Virginia.
Yeah, and I think it was like she responded really well where she
Yeah.
was like, nursing homes are the worst and, obviously like I would want them to live with us. So I think the answer was great, but you're right. Like that was a tough question. That one was like not that hard for me to understand because I think from my culture and my perspective, like it's kind of similar where, your parents, when they get older, they do move in with either, one of your siblings or you. But it was interesting that that was the time that they
Yeah.
asked her
I
that
think that
question.
was
It was like,
that was
"Oh,
the
the
issue
first
for
time meeting."
me. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, by the way, my parents might move in. Is that okay?" And it's like,
Yeah.
"Wait, can we like move in together first and see how it goes?"
It just felt like you're like just throwing a lot at her. She's saying all the right things. I feel like her and I are similar in some ways, and I know that I would have alarm bells. I think they'll get
Yeah.
louder towards the wedding day, just like mine did. I feel like in the moment, I was so excited about like, finding someone and like just filming in general, like the excitement of having cameras around you, getting mic'd up, and like just being part of the experiment. And then when it gets closer to making the final decision, that's when you're like, wait a minute, like this guy is just not on my financial, emotional maturity level.
Yeah, I can't really get like a good read on Virginia because I think she keeps her feelings very close to her chest and
Yeah.
she's not one to like play into producer questions too much. Like she's just like, I'm going to go through this experience and she seems like such a sweet soul and I think she genuinely likes Devin, but you're totally right. I'm sure in the back of her head she's like, "Okay, this is me taking on a lot emotionally and financially. Like do I actually love this person?" So it's like, yeah, it's very hard in the moment to make the right decision. So we'll see what happens.
What did you think about Sarah bringing up the TikTok to Ben?
Okay, this is so funny, but Ben is such a good actor.
He
Be-
is.
Right? Like, okay, Sarah's like, oh my gosh, she's like just scrolling. I don't know, that whole scene seemed so weird to me because clearly he had already seen the video and he was just waiting
Yeah.
for something to happen. But I'm really glad Sarah brought it up. Obviously, we knew it was coming, but he is such a liar. Like, it's so easy to tell that he doesn't have his story straight. Like, every time she asks him a question, he kind of like diverts the answer. I don't know. Ben is very interesting to me.
I need more info on this. Like, I
Mm,
want to see if they continue talking about this situation in this Friday's set of episodes, because I don't know. I kind of believed Ben, like his
mm,
excuse of like, hey, I dated this girl 4 years ago. It was for a short time. It was like one or two dates. I don't remember like why it ended, because I don't remember why it ended with men I just went on a few dates with 4 years ago. I can't even remember their names. I don't know why I never saw them again, like if I just ghosted them or what, or if they ghosted me. So I believe his excuse, but we don't know like what he did for her to create that TikTok. I will
exactly.
say that TikToker created an update a few days ago and then deleted it. So I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, like what's going
See,
on?
this is what's really hard about the situation because obviously I want to believe Ben because he's on our screens. Like, so far, he hasn't given us a reason not to believe him.
Yeah.
Like, did he have some dodgy like answers in the pods? Yes, but that doesn't make him like this horrible person that everyone's saying on TikTok at the moment. And that's what's really hard because I don't know who to believe.
Yeah.
Because if this girl literally went on 1 to 2 dates with somebody and has this big of a reaction, you're kind of like, okay, this is a red flag. But we know for a fact that people, when Love is Blind rolls around, make videos and make content in hopes that it will blow up and it'll give them some attention.
Yeah, they
And so
exaggerate
it's
a little bit.
exactly. And it's really tough because they're like, they use it as a way to kind of benefit themselves. And that's where it's really hard to figure out who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
So I don't know. I just want to see what more happens. But I will say that entire scene just felt like very acted out. Like Sarah just scrolling on her phone and being like, oh my gosh, oh, this TikTok. And I was like, okay, that, first of all, that original TikTok is like, I think a few minutes long. And I was like, you
Hmm.
think producers allowed you to sit there and watch that long of a TikTok? Like, you definitely set the scene up.
Oh, absolutely. They set the scene up because he had like got up and got a beer for her. And then
Yeah.
literally in the process of it, she finds it. So yeah, it was definitely staged, I'm sure. You could tell. It was like
Sarah's
very,
such a bad actor too. So I
it
was like,
was,
okay, like
it was
this
just,
is this
it
is
was a
they're like reenacting something.
yeah, it was a little off. And it makes sense because it had to like be brought up on screen, whatever.
Yeah.
But what's also very interesting to me is Ben's friends. I thought we were walking into the scene with Ben's friends, but it was actually Sarah's friends. And then when they were like, no, it's and I was like, wait, what? Did he curate this group of people on purpose? And then the stories that the friends told Sarah was very interesting to me too, because I was like, why pick that story? Especially because Sarah had an issue with the whole religion thing and they were
Yeah.
bringing up, oh no, it's faith. It was like very curated. And I was like, Ben, did you text them to tell this story?
Totally. Probably.
I don't know. We can speculate on anything, and it's just so hard these days because I think I'm so jaded that it's hard for me to think that people are very genuine, especially on a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because I do tend to believe what's being said about Ben on TikTok a little bit more than what he's saying on screen, because like think about everything that has come out about anyone from this franchise. I feel like you just have to have done some things for people to publicly talk about you in that way. Like we've never had people publicly talk about us negatively, like before the show, like things we've
Mhm.
done where we've like hurt someone or something like that. But
I agree.
again, we'll just have to see. Like I just need more info, right? I want to know like if Sarah finds anything else out, does she talk to that TikToker? How Ben's going to explain this more? But Sarah and Ben didn't get a lot of screen time, so I feel like I'm just kind of like not invested in them. Same with like Devin and Virginia. I just feel like they're getting such little screen time. The one thing that stuck out to me is when Ben called out Sarah in Honduras that she keeps all the tags on her clothes.
Oh, yes.
I
Why
was
did
like,
he? Why?
first of all, you should never say that on TV.
Ever.
I was like,
Yeah.
come on. But I feel like she definitely like bought a bunch of clothes for the show.
Hmm.
And I was like, is she planning on returning those clothes or did she just like buy, like,
Yeah.
but the only reason I thought it was funny is because we knew someone on our season who just bought a bunch of clothes, like went on a shopping haul
Hmm.
for filming. And I remember I saw a tag sticking out when we were filming in the lounge, and I was like, oh, she's going to return that shirt after wearing it,
Oh no.
and
Well,
I was like thinking, is Sarah doing that?
yeah, I have no idea why Ben would call out his fiance like that. Like, even if you saw it, like, keep your mouth shut, Ben. Like,
I
no one
know.
else needs to know about this.
Okay, can I tell you why I think that she's just wearing clothes and planning on returning them? She didn't explain it more. Like you could easily say like, "Oh, I keep my tags because they're new and I take them off when I'm about to wear it." But she was just like, and
Aw.
I was like, "Oh, is it because she feels embarrassed because she was like caught? Like I'm
Aw.
wearing clothes with tags on it and I'm planning on returning it."
Yeah. You know what? Oh, or the editors did her dirty where she explains it and they just took it out. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
I
But
don't
I was
know.
just like, look, I think people do that across reality TV shows. Like I've heard people do that on The Bachelor, right? Because you have to get so much clothes. Like you have to get clothes for 6 weeks,
Hmm.
along with Love is Blind, because you're
Yeah.
also living in the shared apartment. It's not like you're going to and from your actual home to the shared apartment that much. So like, yeah, like to do Love is Blind, you're packing for 6 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't even have an apartment in Chicago at the time, and it was so tough. But yeah, that's why I didn't buy anything designer or like, like high end. I was just like, I'm wearing like Target, like normal things. And because I was like,
And
I
you
don't
can't
really
wear
care
black,
much.
remember? Or you could
Oh,
you could wear black once in a while, but that's a big issue of why you need to go shopping. Is
yeah.
they're like you need to buy colorful clothes. You can't wear white or black.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's all I wear." And I was
No,
like, "I
I
got to
literally, my entire closet is just black. So that was the hardest thing ever when they said that to us. I was like, no. And
I
it's because
know."
they didn't want it to clash with the background of the interviews. But I was very sad when they told
Yeah.
us we couldn't wear black.
And they told you shouldn't wear neutrals. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's the other half of my closet. It's half black, half neutrals, and I can't wear any of it. And now I have to, buy a green dress and a blue dress." Like I was just like, "Oh my gosh." And you actually end up spending a lot of money. Like
Oh,
I would
yeah.
say I didn't buy any designer things for when I was in the pods. But I still ended up spending probably like $2,000 to $3,000
Yeah.
just because you also want options. And then like, you're going on TV. So
Yes,
you're like,
exactly.
okay, I need like cute clothes and they're only giving me, a week and a half. That's when you kind of find out your
Hmm.
final cast, right? Like you have very short notice
Yes. Yes.
and you're like, oh my God, I have to like just order everything. I can't wait for a
Yeah.
sale. And you
It's
just,
so funny. I think that moment when I found out that I was going on the show was the most organized I've ever been with packing in my entire
same.
life because I was like, okay, so I need an outfit for this, this, and this. And I literally even got packing cubes. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that was the first and last time I ever used my packing cubes because I remember a producer, because they go through your stuff before you enter into like, the studio and the hotel rooms and stuff. And I remember a producer came up to me and go like, "You're very organized." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." Once and done. Like
You're
never
like,
again in my
little do you
life.
know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Usually
yeah.
my life is chaos. So
I definitely bought packing cubes.
packing cubes are amazing.
For my solo trip, I'm only bringing a carry-on. But I remember
Hmm.
for filming Love is Blind, I brought so many clothes. I had two suitcases, two big checked-in suitcases.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I went over the weight. I think like each suitcase weighed around 70 pounds. So I had 140 pounds of clothes with me.
That is so
Isn't that
wild. Yeah.
crazy?
I was actually very efficient during my Love is Blind time with my clothes. I was
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
wow, who was I back then? uh
Um, but I'm
anyway.
shocked he called her out because he also says he like what washes his hair every other week. I know some hair types are fine doing that, but not his. Okay. Not his, I don't think.
God. I don't even know why they're talking about that. Like
Yeah.
that this is what I mean about this season. Like, why do I know this detail? I shouldn't
I
know this
know.
detail. Like, is there nothing else interesting happening with this couple that this is what we find out? Like,
No, I
yeah.
appreciated this info. Like, especially when he says he only does the laundry once a month. I was like, this is the most interesting thing that I learned in this Honduras little honeymoon.
Oh, bro, you're totally right. I
Is
mean,
that
it
Sarah
was
keeps the tags on her clothes and Ben only does his laundry once a month and washes his hair every other week. And I was like, okay.
and no one has hooked up
And
in Honduras. There was nothing interesting that happened really in these episodes, I have to say. Usually I really look forward to the meetups, like the couple
me
meetups.
too.
Even that was so mundane. Like I was just like, no one is interested in anyone else. Like nothing is happening
I
except for
know.
Dave repeatedly asking the same question. There was nothing else really
Yeah.
that was entertaining.
I mean, I was like, can we bring back Madison, Mason, Alex, and Meg? I don't know about Alex anymore because there's some crazy allegations about him out on social media. I wanted to discuss it on this episode, but I want to see if more information is going to come out. There's so much about him out there that all kind of like contradict. So I was like, okay, I want to see if more is talked about during the reunion. So I think we'll save our discussion for that.
I feel like the internet and social media is such a double-edged sword. Like you have to be careful about the information that you see. Like, do I
Yeah.
believe it? Do I not? Like, I think there has to be some research done. And hopefully Love is Blind producers will do that due diligence for us. And if there is some truth to it, they'll bring it up.
Yeah. Or like
So,
more comes out
yeah, or more comes
on
out.
it.
Exactly.
But that
Mhm.
was those are some crazy allegations.
I
But
know.
I'm very curious if they're going to address it during the reunion because there's no way they're not going to bring that love square back for the reunion
Oh,
and for
yeah.
probably this week's episodes.
I'm excited for this next set of episodes actually, because in the trailer, it seemed like Meg and Mason came in together. And I thought they were holding hands for a hot second. And I rewinded and watched it. But I want to see, like, did they meet up? Did they talk and chat? And, like, I don't know, is anything happening? Because I kind of do want to see them together. I
Yeah,
like them.
it looks like there's more conversations between Meg and Madison about Mason. Like
Mhm.
Madison is saying like he's like a huge liar. One thing I will say, I feel like the reason why they're focusing so much on Madison in particular is like she might be on Perfect Match, whether it's
Mhm.
for the season coming out this year or for the next season. Like
Yeah.
there's just no way. First of all, she is very beautiful, but
Mhm.
she has like one of those like reality TV personalities where she's I don't want to say nutty, but she's just like willing to put it all out there.
Yeah.
Like she's not gonna play it cool.
Yeah, she's like, honestly, I do have to say she's authentically herself, like mistakes or not. And I think that she's just very much herself. Even when I see her social media, like TikToks and stuff like that, like I just feel like she's just having fun and just, she doesn't really care what people think. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, do you, girl?
But I feel like she has one of those reality TV personalities that we're just not seeing from the cast on this season, where she is very unique. Regardless
Mhm.
if you like her or dislike her, she's very unique. She's filterless. She's pretty. Like,
Yeah.
it's like that quintessential, like, kind of like fun character to watch. Like,
Yeah.
she evokes some sort of emotion from you, whether
Yeah.
that's good or bad.
And
And
absolutely, did we miss her in these set of episodes? Yes, we did. We missed Madison. Come back onto our
I know.
screens.
When I was watching the episodes when they're in Honduras, I was like, bring someone back. Madison,
Please.
Mason, anyone, Alex. Like, I was like, I
Yeah.
will take anyone, add them to the mix because I don't know. It's just, again, the season is not doing it for me. But again, the season is not doing it for me. But everyone's saying that on social media.
Yeah.
It's just not a good season.
And that's why they have Dave so much on our screens, because I
I
think
know.
he's like the most interesting because he just says the most out of pocket things. And you're like,
And
okay,
yeah.
at least you're unique.
But anyways, the next set of episodes, 9 to 11, come out this Friday. Hopefully it gets a little juicier.
Let's pray.
I'm excited for the second couples meetup, so we'll see how that goes.
Yes. Let us know what you guys thought of the episodes so far. And make sure you guys leave a review and subscribe.
See you next Wednesday.
Bye.